Hello, my name is Lena, and this is my Week 3 discussion board for NPA 530, Reviewing Budget Formats. In overview, this video will take a look back at the budget I selected in Week 1 and identify its format. I will discuss how I came to this conclusion, then I will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this budget format style based on findings in 3 different peer-reviewed journal articles. Lastly, I will give recommendations as to any changes that should be made to the format and why. In Week 1, I selected the City of Coolidge budget for fiscal year 2022. Initially, I thought this was a standard line item budget, but after completing the readings and videos for this week, I realized it's a blend between line item and performance base. I came to this conclusion based on video notes and details given in Chapter 5 of our textbook. So first, identifying line item. The tasks are listed line by line, pretty standard, something everybody is used to seeing, easy for the public to understand. But second, identifying performance base. So the budget also lists current demand and budgeted amounts side by side with previous years for comparison. In addition, the budget is separated by activities, or in this case, departments, and the workload is listed on Schedule G, which is not shown here, but it's the last page of the city's budget. There are elements of a full performance-based budget format missing, such as details for productivity and effectiveness. In looking at the first article, to PBB or not PPB, as an Australian author looks at budgeting formats of line item budgeting versus planning program budgeting, and through surveys, the author concludes that line item budgeting is the most commonly used in 56 councils, and the next most popular was a combination of line item budgeting and program planning budgeting, which was used by 46 councils. The author points out that rural small towns primarily use line item budget, and the larger metropolitan cities use the combination of the two. He lists strong reasons of why the government should or may elect to continue using line item budgets, such as it's the most effective system, it's familiar, it's easy to understand, and states that there's better fiscal control. But then he proceeds to give valid reasons of why the government should use program planning budget over the line item budget format, such as it has clearer objectives, more effective control of inputs and outputs, and he states it's better for reporting. So the next article takes a look at performance-based budgeting and accrual-based budgeting, noting that a combination of the two would be better than standard performance-based budgeting alone. The author points out that performance budgeting allocates resources based on results achieved and aims to enhance the quality of public spending by introducing rationality into the political decision-making process. But there are disadvantages. According to the author, this format is only used in a limited number of sectors, such as health services and education. He feels that if accrual budgeting were combined, in addition to quality, there would also be an improvement in accountability and effectiveness. And he admits that, yes, performance budgeting is useful, but it could be better if it were linked with accrual budgeting. My last article specifically looks at performance-based budgeting and how it affects government debt and growth. His results show that performance budgets can improve efficiency of government expenditures and promote economic growth, but he notes that the growth rate is equal to the government debt. So disadvantages, he says in most cases alone, the performance-based budget format does not lower government debt. But when paired with performance information, the modified format could improve planning and resource allocation, in turn lowering government debt. The author also mentions that performance budget is endogenous, meaning it originates from within itself. current numbers are based on its own numbers from the previous year, and then, so on and so on, and the next year would be based on these numbers. So another disadvantage is that due to the lack of observation, one cannot include many control variables, allowing bias for omitted variables. In Australia, performance budget is popular, but the author found that in most counties, they were being used in conjunction with another budget type, such as midterm or planning budget formats. So lastly, the author acknowledges that performance budgeting is intended to improve accountability, but there's little to no likelihood of intense monitoring after targets are not met. So I believe for a small city, the current budget format is suitable. In the city of Coolidge is small. The line item budget is something that people are accustomed to and they know how to read. The parts of performance-based budget format that the city included allows citizens to compare last year's projected numbers against the actual numbers to the new year's projected numbers. Residents can be pleased when they see that the city stayed under budget, which a lot of their categories were under budget, which leaves less questioning for the new numbers by, citizens. I would recommend, though, that the city add the other components of performance-based budget format, the productivity section and the effectiveness section. This will give citizens a more well-rounded understanding of the budget. It would be nice if the budget also better explained the interfunds transfers. So there was a total of just under $1.9 million of interfunds transfer, and it's unclear if the transfers were due to the city being under budget in an area and just having these extra monies that could be allocated to another department, or if another department needed the funds and the city then had to reduce the goals in a certain department to allow those monies to be pulled and transferred over, kind of a robbing Peter to pay Paul scenario. Well, that's my video for the week, and here are my articles referenced in order as they were discussed. And I pray you all have a great and wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and God bless.